the teammates, whatever it may be, in a way that may not be repeatable, but it achieves the outcome, and it was necessary for it. And that's pretty exciting, again, that there is that. And I do see that happening now, because I think what blossomed in the 80s and the 90s of business was so sterile and soulless, to be honest, that we need to get back towards, this whole idea of, I just thought of something crazy that's going to work here. How are we going to get this job done? How are we going to get it out the door? And that's what teammates do when you're a man down. When somebody's got a taped up ankle and they can only go one direction, but don't let the other team know. How do we pull this off? That's the magic in it. I think that's really cool. You brought up those three authors, because it is not like the business that we were all led to believe through MBAs. In fact, those three are entrepreneurs that almost, thumb their nose at the over-structured business learnings. It's really all about people. And I want to ask one thing here. Now, we're not going to get into this too deep, because you will be on the other podcast. I've started playing the gray. We had a great session we recorded earlier about the difficulty of ending the playing days. And I told you this hour would fly by and we'd go into overtime if we have to. We're going to. But you've got a couple really special posts, in my opinion, on your website. So right now, first, tell people how they can find your blog, because there are two really amazing posts there.
So it's called Rav Enterprises, and it's on a WordPress site. So I believe it's .wordpress.com. So you guys can go on and read those, and then I post them on my Twitter and my Facebook as well. So my Twitter is at Ravslax, RAVSLAX 26, and so that's how you can find those. And thanks, Dave, for those kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell people that if you go to LinkedIn, there's some really amazing. Just summary of your collective writings between coming to the end of your collegiate career. You had a year off between, or two, before going pro, and not wondering where things were going, and it is an identity that gets separated. So I definitely think people should really check out that blog. But I want to talk about real quickly one that you talked about, what it's like to win, and what it's like to win a championship, and heading out the door, and how hard it is to put into words. And you've said that a few times as we've talked, and the best things are hard to describe, because your head and your heart are confused over which one should go first. But you said this about championships. They're everything, and they are nothing at the same time. This will be our last chat here for the hour, but what did you mean by that?
Well, going back to what we were just talking about with business, where everything's assembly line, it becomes a business. And especially, me being a college coach for the past 3 years and those kinds of things, the business is winning. Contracts are made or broken, for the improper English before, that they're made or they're taken away, sometimes for other reasons, right? But a lot of the reasons are for performance, and the performance is winning. If you're not winning enough, or people are capable of more, or those kinds of things, so that's why it's like, to me, looking at it from the player and coach perspective at the same time, which I think is really cool, and definitely different. To me, it's like when I went into college, everything was about winning, and I watched Northwestern win championships. When they played at Stony Brook University, and then the goalie actually ended up being my assistant coach for 3 years. So, and she was an absolute rock star, but I'd go to watch her, and she used to coach me at camps. Side note, right? But those kinds of things, it's where championships are everything. And those are the kinds of things, like, she would tell me, you know, she coached us for 3 years, and maybe me and a couple other people were the only people to ask her about what it was like to win. And, you know, she cried, and what her response to me was that it was just, it's a culmination of all the hard work and everything that you've done. So to me, it's like, you know, I guess the championship, it is everything, because it's physically all the work that you've put in for years, not just in that sport, but, you know, you had me talking about my AAU basketball coach and those kinds of things. And, you know, it's bringing back, you know, really, you know, good but tough memories. And it's like going back to those days, or when my dad used to, you know, throw baseballs at me in the driveway. Those kinds of things, like going all the way back to that. It's all of that where you're instilled with hard work. And, you know, and so at the same time, it's nothing, because, well, I mean, physically it's a trophy, but, you know, you didn't work hard for a piece of metal, really. I mean, I guess if you boil it down, you do. I could talk about this forever, but I don't know. I feel like it's more about the relationship with the people, you know. And I went into college, you know, saying, like, I want to win. It's about winning, and it was, and about being a part of, you know, a family and a sisterhood, and it was, right. But now that I'm 3 years out of college, and it's like, I guess the easiest way to put it is that some of the girls that I coached this past year, you know, I got to a point as a coach where, you know, I don't like to talk about everything that I've done or those kinds of things, because it's more to me about, you know, me coaching them to be where they want to be. And the girls asked me, they're like, why don't you talk about what you've done? Like, Rachell, we never knew that you were on U19. We never knew that you know, that you continue to try out, that you've tried out for the U.S. team since 2010. I don't know. Like, those are the kinds of things. They're like, we didn't know that. And I was like, well, what's to know? Why do you want to know that? And they're like, well, because we're interested in you. And I was like, honestly, that's great. And I was like, but what matters to me and what should matter to you is, can I take everything that I've done and make you great because of it? If I've gone through all these things, can I then make you believe that if you want to go be the best nurse in California, can I make you believe that? You know, is that something I can teach you? And you know, or can you go be, I don't know, the best coach, you know, where you're from, or those kinds of things. Or if you want to be a school teacher, can I help you dream? Can I show you, you know, that, you know, what you want to do with your life is okay, and that you want to be the best. It's about being the best you, right? Not necessarily being the best, but it's about being the best you, and putting your best foot forward. And can I help you dream and achieve that? And I think that that's what's more important than the championships. So when I say it's not, like, it's nothing, I mean, I thought about writing. When I wrote that, I paused for a while and I didn't write, because I thought people could take it the wrong way. Right? Like, you won 4 straight, you know, UMass won 9 straight, could have been 10. Richmond ended that this year, but, besides the point, right? You know, I thought people would get upset by it, right? The fact that it's nothing. Well, are you ungrateful? You won. And, you know, to me, it's more about, you know, all the teammates that you had, like, and what you've gone through. And I think that, you know, looking back at all of that, like, where I've coached, have we won? You know, no, but I think that individually, have kids that I've worked with won? Yeah, I think the answer is yes. You know, or have they, and again, that sounds kind of very individualistic and egotistic of me to say it, but right, if I can be around and just inspire you to be the best that you can possibly be, I think that that's winning. And, you know, I think that that's something that my coaches have done for me in the past, whether it's not physically, you know, I didn't go to the best high school. People did lacrosse, you know, to get out of gym class, right? If you did 3 sports, you got out of gym. So they wanted to do lacrosse in the spring because they wanted to hang out with their friends. We weren't the best team. Now they won state a couple years ago, which is awesome, and I'm so proud, right? But, you know, that's where it went. But my coaches got me to see past what was right in front of me to see the future. And I think that that's something that I wanted them to see is, if they want to go and play in the professional lacrosse leagues, awesome. I want to help you get there, you know, without a doubt. But if that's not your goal, that's okay too. And I want to help you get to where you want to go, right? Your goal should be to, I guess, win in whatever aspect of life, whatever your definition of winning is, right? And, you know, a lot of coaches have different, you know, variations of it. But I think that, you know, winning is doing your best and being proud of it, but realizing you can go and do a little bit more and a little bit more the next time possibly. And just, you know, so I think that's kind of what I mean by it's nothing. Because, I mean, it's physically a piece of metal that sits in a trophy case so it doesn't get dusty. And even then, you got to take it out to dust it. You know, here I am with my bad sarcasm and jokes, right? But in reality, that's what it is. But when you look at it, right, when I go back and I look at the fact that, you know, of winning those 4 championships, I see 36 different people that I was with each year. And I think about the stories and what we went through and, you know, all the times that we ran because we messed up in practice or those kinds of things that make you tougher. And, you know, were they not fun at the time? Of course. You know, my freshman year, we ran 20 100s with jog backs because 20 people failed the run test. I mean, you know, you can't make it up going back and looking at it. But again, right, we won. And those are the kinds of things that I remember. And it's, you know, so it's not physically like the trophy, you know, but it's everything else. And I feel like that to me is kind of why it's nothing. And also, you know, I'm now, again, here's me being a little bit selfish, but, you know, I'm going on 4 years out of college and, you know, I'm not Rachell who won 4 straight A10 championships anymore. You know, I still am to a degree and in some circles, but, you know, I'm happy that I'm past the, you know, the time where I just defined myself as that and that I was nothing more. And, you know, I don't want to say worthless, but, you know, that all I was Rachell the lacrosse player. And I was, you know, writing things down like, forget about everything I did, forget me, because, well, I'm not that person anymore, and more in a negative sense of, you know, moving on to where I am now. So,
yeah. And I think, you know, I'm going to read the last part of that article you wrote, which is, when you give everything you have, when you give everything you have and have no regrets, and you know you did everything you possibly could to succeed, you are a winner. And when you're a winner and you win, the feeling is unlike any other. This is what it means to be a champion, regardless of hoisting a trophy above your head. But it's a nice touch. So readers, athletes, and lacrosse players, this is my dream for you. To win and be winners. And to play and be in the moment now and in the future. And it's just very well written. And there are 2 parts of it. You can be a winner without winning, but that is why we compete, because when you've gotten yourself to being a winner, regardless of a score or a spectator or anything like that, there is something special that you put 2 sets of winners on a field and you see who can get, you know, to the top, because that is some pretty rare air, but it's being the winner ahead of winning that's so important, as you've put it. So, Rachell, thank you again. This I'm really happy with our chat here. I know it's one that I'm telling my daughters. I said, hey, by the way, I've got the goalie from the Baltimore Ride, used to play for UMass, on the show tonight. Like, oh, really? And, you know, it's not because you're playing pro. And it's not because, you know, like I said, you've got a lot of saves and what went on up at Amherst, but because I knew what the talking points were going to be. And these are the things that coaches need to hear, and players, you know, between 12 and 22. You know, it's a pretty special decade of your life, and what sports can do for you. So, Rachell, thank you again so much.
You know, Dave, thank you.
And everybody, thanks again for tuning in tonight. This is Dave Briglio with Rachell Vallarelli with Making the Play. Have a good night.
Well, I started out down a dirty road. Started out all